Usually when I tell people about my religious background, they look at me like I'm wrong or I'm a sinner because, I was part of a plural family. Women get really defensive and angry.
That was hard. The fact that Robyn didn't come to my mom's funeral and support me in that way at that time was very hurtful to me.
Meri's decision to leave is pretty clear in hindsight, though I think it all clicked after her mom passed away. Now, this is just my 2 cents. But I really think Meri felt like she had a green light to leave once her mother was gone. Her mom adored Kody, no question there, and I don't think she'd have been thrilled about Meri walking away. Once that anchor was gone, Meri probably felt like she could finally make her own choice. But I'm not entirely sold on the idea that Bonnie loved Kody that much. Sure, she liked him, but I think she was just a big believer in plural marriage. She probably told Meri to tough it out, no matter how miserable it made her. And let's be honest, once Wynn passed away, Kody was left with no real reason to keep up the charade of wanting multiple wives. The whole plural marriage thing was his way of trying to win his father's approval, nothing more. Meri, on the other hand, had to finally face the reality that Kody was never coming back to her. It took the departure of 2 other wives, watching Kody spiral even further, and, of course, feeling like the perpetual third wheel in a family that was crumbling. But hey, at least she finally did it. She left. The whole thing about Meri's mom being Kody's favorite mother-in-law is pretty ironic now. Imagine what she'd think of Kody after hearing him publicly say, "I wish I never married Meri." That was downright cruel. To trash talk her like that on national TV, for everyone to hear, it's disgusting. And honestly, I don't know how Kody sleeps at night, running his mouth about his ex-wives like that. Newsflash, buddy, they'll always be the mothers of your children, no matter how much you try to rewrite history. We've got so much to dive into today, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump straight into it. Hey everyone, what's up? It's Elena here, and welcome back to my channel reality Nexus X. When Kody made that announcement on the couch, you could almost see Robyn's motives spilling out for the first time. Even Janelle, who usually keeps things in check, called her out. Remember when the wives all went to watch Robyn spin around in dresses, pretending they were helping her choose the one? Well, turns out they weren't helping at all. Robyn and Kody had already picked out the dress on their own, and Kody couldn't even keep his smirk to himself. He says, "I have a big one. I picked the dress," and then sticks out his tongue like he just pulled off the world's greatest prank. Janelle, clearly over it, responds with something like, "So, it was a lie?" We were never actually helping Robyn pick a dress, because traditionally, men don't pick the dress. And even Meri looked pissed at the obvious deception. But it was Christine's reaction that hit hardest. She got up and walked out. You could see it in her face. She was hurt, not just by Robyn's lie, but by the fact that Kody went along with it. They had to stop filming that scene for 3 days because Christine was so upset. I don't blame her. Why even have the girls' day if Robyn and Kody had already made the decision on their own? Robyn herself even admitted later that she thought it should have been a secret between her and Kody. She lied repeatedly when the wives asked about the dress, playing it off like it was some kind of surprise. Then there was the whole thing with Kody and Robyn locking lips while Christine was in labor, another example of how Robyn was playing her own game. And let's talk about Robyn's bills. She said she'd always worked and paid her own way, but we later found out that wasn't true. Not only was she not paying her bills, but she was changing her name to rack up more credit. There's also the issue of her insisting on the same amount of one-on-one time with Kody before they were married, so she and her kids could bond with him, just the 2 of them, with no regard for the rest of the family. Robyn wasn't just joining the family, she was trying to divide it, to make herself the most important one. From the start, Robyn made it clear that she wanted Christine's role, being the one everyone relied on, the one who held the house together. But she didn't want to do the work that came with it. She just wanted the status. And to me, that's the heart of the problem. It's not about the damn dress, it's about the lies. If Kody&Robyn had a day of dress shopping and didn't tell the wives, where were they really? What else were they lying about during their chaste courtship? How many times did Kody tell the wives he was doing one thing, only to be doing something else entirely with Robyn? And the worst part is they had no clue until Kody eventually told them. The issue goes so far beyond a simple dress. Robyn's attachment to Kody was one thing, but it was the lies they were telling, the deception about where they were and what they were doing that crossed the line. If I'd been one of the other wives, that would have been the deal breaker for me right there. Trust would have been gone. Every time Kody left the house after that, I'd be wondering if he was really going to the movies. And Robyn, the moment she was caught, she snapped. Her defensiveness was immediate, dripping with anger. She couldn't even pretend to be innocent, and it was clear she was ready to fight back against anyone who dared question her. Aurora and Brianna are clearly older than their siblings, many of whom have married, moved out, and are living their own lives. So do Aurora and Brianna really not realize that their siblings have moved on? Are they just waiting around for Kody&Robyn to make decisions for them? Seriously, when are they going to get a life of their own? Is it normal for adults in their 20s and 30s to still be glued to the TV with mom and dad? It seems like they have it easy, with Kody&Robyn taking care of most of their needs. Meanwhile, their other siblings had far fewer resources and a lot less attention. Honestly, these awkward family conversations feel staged. Either that or the acting is just embarrassingly bad. What really threw me off, though, is that both of them are in college but still act so immature. Their conversation about finding a church was eye-opening. It's like they're stuck in neutral, unable to make their own decisions. They both seem to mimic Robyn's sad, troubled face, like they're trying to match her vibe. And the fact that one of them wants to use church as a way to meet boys. Yeah, I see a mess coming. I personally wouldn't recommend anyone get married before 28, but what I find strange is that, as fully grown women, Aurora and Brianna still feel the need to ask about going to church, with Robyn reacting like Brianna mentioning dating boys is some kind of scandal. It's almost like Robyn forgot she did plenty of dating and other premarital activities when she was younger than Aurora and Brianna are now. Anyone else have personal stories about the Sister Wives cast? I always find it hilarious when people pop in here saying they've seen one of them or know someone who does. It's like, wow, that's fascinating. Personally, I'd totally lose my mind if I bumped into one of them. And let's be real, I'd be all over any crew members who worked on the show if they'd just spill some tea. So, fun fact, I grew up with Christine and Meri. My husband grew up just down the street from Robyn and her family. And get this, I met Kody the first day he came to the AUB. Like it was a thing. Oh, and I still chat with Meri. My husband even helped some of the kids buy houses. Small world, right? Back in the 2010s, I worked for TLC managing talent. Here's the scoop. The Browns, absolute dream clients. The TLC team adored them. Never caused a fuss. Contracts were smooth as butter. They met all their media obligations. And they didn't stir up any drama that would make the audience cringe. They were just pleasant. It's kind of boring, honestly. Never once had to deal with them in any messy way because, well, there was nothing to clean up. Now, if you're wondering who the actual nightmare was on their payroll, let's just say the worst, by a miles-wide margin, is someone else entirely. I'll leave you to guess. And as for meeting Christine and Kody, it was in Vegas. I was visiting a friend, and there they were on a date. And let me tell you, they're tall. Kody was all smiles, practically jumping for joy when I asked for a picture. Christine was nice too, but I quickly realized I was probably being that annoying fan. So I said, "Oh, the camera's not working," just to ease the awkwardness, and she smiled like it was all good. That's it. The most anticlimactic celebrity encounter ever. So let's talk about the unpopular opinions that'll probably get me downvoted, but I'm genuinely curious to hear what others think too. We've all heard the usual complaints about Robyn and Kody, how they're manipulative, selfish, whatever, but let's dig a little deeper and see what really gets under the skin. One of my hot takes? Kody and Robyn never really seemed to be living by any religious tenets. It was always Kody's polygamy with a side of convenient spirituality. He latched onto the church for all of 5 minutes before marrying the OG3, and honestly, his religious convictions were as flimsy as his hairline. Remember when they randomly started celebrating Jewish holidays and Kody decided to have a full-on meltdown about Christmas? That was his real commitment to religion, whatever's trendy at the moment. I genuinely think his only spiritual pursuit was creating the cult of Kody Brown. Like, let's be real, the guy's more into self-worship than any actual faith. Now, as for Robyn, she's basically reading from the Polygamy 101 playbook. Surprise, surprise, she's Kody's favorite, and we all know that's the polygamy norm. Men always pick favorites, so the women have to compete. But here's the thing, every woman on that show has played that game. They've all manipulated, strategized, and tried to earn favor. Robyn isn't some outlier here. They all grew up in that messed up, oppressive, patriarchal cult that laid out this ridiculous blueprint for relationships. Except Janelle, who's actually got her own mind, bless her. So yeah, Robyn's no saint, but she's far from the only one trying to earn her spot in the mess Kody created. But hey, if you disagree and want to downvote me, that's cool. I'll just be over here, rewatching the train wreck unfold. Did Kody start tuning into Andrew Tate and his followers? Because, wow, his behavior has taken quite a turn. We've seen it over the series, right? His vocabulary has completely shifted. Now, everything's about respect, loyalty, and obedience. It's almost like he's been absorbing the patriarchy 101 podcasts and support nonsense. As someone who's into ENM, ethical non-monogamy, watching this chaotic mental meltdown unfold in his head is equal parts creepy and fascinating. And let's not forget, Kody was never exactly a ray of sunshine, but after his brother passed away, it's like he went into full darkness mode. He got way more negative, more pessimistic, and, let's be honest, even more selfish than before. What's telling, though, is that in the episode right after his split with Christine, when he's hanging out with his guy friends, he admits he got sucked into the manosphere. He says it made him angrier, and, credit where it's due, he actually recognized that it wasn't healthy. That moment of self-awareness was surprisingly honest, though I'm not sure it's enough to steer this train wreck back on track. Robyn's transformation has sparked a lot of chatter. When she first appeared, she embodied the Diesel Jeans model vibe, sleek, stylish, and youthful. Fast forward to now, and her look has shifted drastically, veering into something far more matronly than her age, late 40s, would suggest. It's almost like watching her morph into her mother, Alice, right before our eyes. Now, some are wondering, is she intentionally aging herself to the point where Kody won't find her attractive anymore? After all, Kody's never been shy about how much he loves her appearance. He's practically obsessed with her looks. Could Robyn be trying to get him to stop looking at her by making herself as unappealing as possible? My take? Robyn's probably aiming for the matriarchal look. I don't think she's trying to turn off Kody. More likely, she's doing what she thinks she needs to keep him happy. Maybe Kody's the one pushing her to dress down when they're out, fearing another man might catch a glimpse of her and steal her away. Or maybe it's just the toll being Kody's one and only wife has taken on her. Let's be real, the other original wives seem to have shed years after cutting him loose. But let's not kid ourselves into thinking Robyn wants to look matronly. She probably still imagines herself as that young, slim Diesel model, just like Kody still thinks he's rocking those 2 antenna-like strands of hair and six-pack abs. Both of them are so diluted it's almost impressive. They've constructed this little fantasy world where they're not only beautiful, but also famous and rich. Meanwhile, the rest of us are just waiting for the inevitable collapse. I mean, I can't wait for the day we see Robyn starring on Hoarders in some rundown trailer, surrounded by piles of junk, while Kody's off cruising in his two-seater convertible. It honestly can't come soon enough. But here's the thing, comparing how a woman looks now to how she looked 10 years ago feels a bit, well, shallow, unnecessary, maybe even a bit dehumanizing. Bodies change over time, especially after having kids, and fashion choices follow suit. It's not that deep. Aging happens, and honestly, it's pretty common to start looking more like your mom as the years go by. Whether it's intentional or not, it's pretty much inevitable. I used to cringe at the veins on my mom's hands, thinking they were ugly. Now I look at mine and think, oh great, I'm turning into her too, and honestly, I'm fine with it. If the other wives had seen the real Robyn from the start, if they'd immediately noticed Kody's favoritism and the glaring financial disparities, would they have fought harder to keep him in check or left sooner? Honestly, no. They were raised with that ingrained, keep sweet mentality. The first 3 wives did notice Kody's obvious favoritism toward Robyn right away. Christine even calls it out in the first season, but Kody brushes it off as paranoia or hysterics. The OG 3 were so used to doing whatever it took to stay in Kody's good graces that they endured mistreatment, not just from him, but from each other. It wasn't until Christine found the strength to leave that the others started to follow suit. I truly believe Ysabel's surgery was the turning point for Christine. Kody's refusal to back her up, abandoning Ysabel during her recovery, was the last straw. That moment showed that Kody's lack of love wasn't just aimed at the wives, but their children too. I'm convinced that if the wives hadn't been forced to fend for themselves after moving from Vegas, they would have stayed forever. Robyn's selfish push to move to Flagstaff ended up being a blessing in disguise, sparing the OG 3 from a lifetime of misery. Let's hope Robyn gets to enjoy that misery herself. I think the other wives did see it, but they were initially heartbroken, especially by the end of season 1. Eventually, though, they learned how to work it to their advantage. They figured out how to get Kody to celebrate Christmas with them or show up to Christine's house to shower. But over time, they saw the pattern. Robyn always got a little more, while they got the leftovers, especially in Vegas. When they moved to Flagstaff and started living further away from Robyn, Meri and Christine realized they were better off creating their own happiness. Ironically, Janelle struggled more with this. She considered herself the most independent, but it was harder for her to break free from the situation. I'm honestly worried for Brianna&Aurora. Watching them is uncomfortable. It's like they're frozen in time, stuck at 15, and it's pretty obvious why. Robyn has done everything she can to make sure her older girls will never know what it's like to stand on their own. They're terrified of independence, and worst of all, terrified of themselves. They're not equipped to handle real life. Like, basic survival is going to be a struggle for them. They've been so overprotected that they've lost any chance of developing into actual functioning adults. And let's be real, they're pampered to the point of absurdity. They've turned their whole lives into a performance for the cameras, playing the innocent little girl act just to rake in the cars, clothes, and jewelry. They're fine. They have all the comforts, all the luxuries, and they can walk away at any time if they wanted to. They're adults after all, but clearly they've chosen the dollar over any real sense of freedom. Let's be honest. Brianna's just as manipulative as Robyn. I wouldn't be shocked if she's doing keg stands on Saturday night and then singing in church on Sunday morning. Here's a thought that might be unpopular, but we don't actually know what they're really like. Maybe if someone who went to college with them came out and called them immature, we'd have a clearer picture, but as it stands, they could just be 2 typical 20-year-olds trying to date and figure out life. It's not like that's exclusive to AOB's polygamy culture. And honestly, them graduating college is a pretty big deal. Robyn hasn't forced them into marriages with creepy 50-year-olds, at least, not that we know of. Not that I'm defending Robyn or Kody here, but still, there's a lot more going on than what we're seeing. Is Janelle's mom still playing the sister wives role with Kody's mom? And have either of them weighed in on the family meltdown? Well, Kody's father passed away many years ago, but it seemed like he and his mom had a pretty solid bond, even after his death. They really leaned on each other for emotional support. I remember in the episode about Kody's father's passing, Kody shared that his mom pulled him aside and reminded him to be extra sensitive toward Janelle's mom because she felt like she didn't get enough time with Win, Kody's dad. Then, when Janelle's mom passed during coronavirus, she requested not to be resuscitated so she could spend some time on her birthday with Win. She passed on her birthday too. As for Kody's mom, who knows? Given how traditional they were, I'm sure she'd be disappointed by the split, but not entirely shocked. Honestly, in some of the episodes where Kody interacted with his mother-in-laws, you could practically see their eyes twitching in a "we're about to slap him" kind of way. So yeah, they probably have some thoughts about how things went down. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and much love to you all.